with 4/4 music, house or techno, the blends, especially the 303. This was Josh Wink. I gotta stop.
But
This is it's one of those things. I do have a checklist when I'm doing the show, stuff that I've got to make sure that I've have engaged, made sure that it was set up before I get going. And one of those
true.
things is updating the titles on the show, because the show, when it's streaming, is on it's on over a half dozen networks. Uh, and
Oh,
then, and the archive is on as well, some other networks, and then it goes to podcast. And if I don't update the titles, then I've got to go through each of these networks and do an edit, and
okay.
it's yeah,
Oh,
it's definitely, it's a pain. So, do I wish you happy birthday?
thank
Uh,
you. It's my birthday.
Officially,
I'm older
I
than God.
well, do you feel like a lot of time has passed by when you think about your time performing? Was this
No,
just
dude. Like
was
I
this
think
just yesterday?
everything just yesterday. That's it, dude. Like I'm sure you feel exactly the same way.
Just
In
yesterday.
remember the gig in '96? We played together somewhere, and you go, "Ah, it's like yesterday." I remember the people. I remember hustling for the money. I remember the flyer. I remember, the right speaker wasn't working. I had no monitors. You know what I mean? Like shows like that. It just reminds me of those old times when things weren't perfect, but they were so perfect. You know?
I feel like you need no introduction, while simultaneously this is the introduction. Break beats in Canada definitely got played by this DJ. And if you were out and grabbing mixtapes, you for sure encountered this DJ's mixtapes. And also, one of the very first, local DJs that was out doing stuff, that broke out locally, that started touring internationally. This DJ. And as well, one of the longest running club nights in Canada that was just packed, an institution,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a religious moment during the week.
True,
This
it was.
DJ, his name is
Yeah.
Czech. He's with us here in the utility room. Thanks a lot on your
Yeah.
birthday.
Thanks for having me.
I feel
Thanks
like
for
I've
having me.
got I've got a theme running with breaks, performers, DJs, and birthdays. We had Demonic. We had him on his birthday as well.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Good guy, man. Love that guy.
we're great. We're having him back. I can't
He's
wait.
good, dude.
Yeah,
Like, dude,
are
like
you
the
kidding
guy,
me? Superstar.
the guy can talk shit with the best of us, you know? He's got
Incredible
stories.
stories too. Like honestly, I feel like we touched on it for a sec. Dan's worn a dozen hats in this industry. Like he's really
Yeah.
been like across the whole board, in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, in the middle of the scenes. I mean, like,
Yeah.
but
And
this
always
is the
always present because you know what? Like, if he wasn't DJing, if he wasn't producing stuff, if he wasn't helping out with parties or doing parties, like every time I came to Toronto, man, he was there. He was always present, like very aware of what was going on, the breakbeat scene, and he was talking shit with the best of them. If he didn't like something, he said it. If he loved it, he loved it. But he was an essential part of Toronto breakbeat scene, I must say. You know what I mean? Like probably one of the most influential, I think.
what happened. Where were you at? Take us all way back. Where were you where you got the bug, the bite?
Well, you know what? I was in Vancouver. I was like kind of like the whole rave thing, the hardcore thing was kind of tapering off in the early '90s, and then I got into house music. I was playing kind of like a deep house, kind of a little bit of banging house, small warehouse parties in Vancouver, this and that, and then I started kind of going down to Seattle and in Washington. It was like there was these few guys who were playing like breaks. They're playing old school electro and old '90s tunes with breakbeat remixes. kind of influence from San Francisco, from Yano Garth and etc. That whole funky techno tribe.
Yeno and
And
Garth was the Wicked crew.
yes, yes, yeah, that's right. So we were just kind of picking up, and I was like going, yeah, because the house, everybody played house, and I always like to be different. And I thought that like the breaks, the old school breaks, and the influences was guitars. So it was like on the outside, and I kind of I liked it more so because less people like that music, and it was more creative, and people who listened to that music knew a little bit more about the music. It wasn't just background music for them, and plus the influence of hip hop and rugga and everything inside of it. So that was kind of like I just kind of catered towards it because I heard it in Seattle because they played a lot of electro breaks, and then kind of a lot of the like funky break, James Brown influence, Apache breaks and stuff like that over top of remix songs, etc., etc. And I like that influence. So that's kind of I started kind of winding down towards that area and leaving the house behind me.
Was it was it the first time that you'd heard that this sound was referred lovingly to, like as breaks? Was this the moment, like, where, like, what the fuck just happened to your screen? What just happened? I don't
What?
know. All the years, yeah. I mean, firstly, you look great. You're so handsome.
Oh,
But
thanks, man. Thanks.
there we go. Yeah, I know your screen also just shrunk out for a sec. When you were out at Seattle, was this the first time that you encountered the name Breaks?
Yeah, no, it was weird, but it wasn't like breaks, dude. It was like Twilight. It was like this 808 and weird 808 snares. It was like it sounded like early 80s stuff, but it was kind of mixed with like new wave and some like 90s kind of early 90s dance stuff. It was like a very big mishmash. And I was just like kind of going, it was like very different to what I was playing in Vancouver. And one of the first guys I heard play this was DJ Heebie Jeebie and Josh Quest. These guys who were rocking it, and I was like going like, this is kind of my shit because I love my hip hop. I came up from hip hop, so that was just like going, yeah, that's like early hip hop with like a new school touch, and that was like kind of my thing. So I kind of started trying it out, and then few months after that, DJ IC from Florida started coming out with these breakbeat records, which he was like still he's a big legend from that part of the world. And I was like going, this is it. Like, he's got Egby and Rakim samples over top of James Brown beats and stuff. It's funky. People like it. They dance to it. And I don't have to play house. You know what I mean? Because then I'm not competitive anymore, man. Like what? Everybody's playing Show Me Love. You know what I mean? And I'm the guy not playing it, but they still kind of like my thing. So it was just kind of that kind of a decision. And it was like, oh, maybe they won't like me anymore because I'm playing weird music. But it kind of caught on the whole breakbeat thing where people were just kind of appreciating it. And then I remember Minute Maid was, I know you know Sean Minute Maid. He worked and lived in Toronto for quite a long time. And he was just like, dude, like in Toronto, everybody loves the breaks. I play the breaks. And he wasn't even playing the breaks that I played. But I was just like, wow, I want to go to Toronto and play the breaks and give him taste of the West Coast, which was really taste of San Francisco and Washington, you know, and Seattle. So that was kind of the kind of move I did with my music.
What was it? What was the challenge like encountering this music? Like, trying to find it. Like, was this easy when you were entering record stores, that there was automatically a break section? Were you going through the
No.
shelves looking for the obscure B sides, or alternative mixes, the dubs?
Yeah, but like it was like the breaks weren't around. It wasn't a genre. It was like something you caught on the B-side. So you had to listen to house, you had to listen to uh, hip hop, you know, like something that would fit into the 120 BPM kind of rhythm speed. And that's how we just kind of looked, and we pulled out a lot of digging in old record stores, you know, like even some old early late 80s hits. We were just finding out these breaks which were like amazing, you know what I mean? But they were not really heard. And it wasn't hardcore what was going on in UK, you know, 5 years prior to that. But we just it was kind of about digging, you know, and it wasn't like it wasn't served up to you. It was like something you had to fight for, look over people's shoulders. I need that, I want it, I trade it, let's go, this and this. The house guys had it easy because the house just came out and they just got the new house records, but there was no break records. But eventually, with the whole Florida thing kind of popping up, people started making different flavors of breaks, and we just started buying. Then everybody started kind of playing similar shit, and we had a little bit of a vein in that style of music, you know, like I think that's the best way to describe it, you know.
So, but there was an explosion that happened. I want to say sometime around 1997, where the record stores all of a sudden did have that small category that you could go and shuffle through the dig. Before
True.
that,
Exactly.
before that, it felt like there was no section. It's what you were saying. It was obscure. It's what you
Yeah.
found. You do a dig. You know, you got lucky, or in some instances, you improvised.
Yeah.
You know, but this explosion that happened. I guess what I'm trying to find out is, by your opinion, I mean, what do you think it was? Like, all of a sudden, it felt like not only were there prominent labels, like Zone for Icy,
Of
Finger
course.
Licking out of the
Of
UK,
course. Of course.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, Wall of Sound,
Yeah. Of
eh,
course. I mean, the
right?
legends. You know what I mean? But
Sure,
like
but do
on
you
the
not
other
feel like
hand,
this kind of happened at the same time? Do you not feel like there was like this launch that happened?
of course, and Fatboy Slim came out, Norman Cook, you know what I mean? And he just blew up the break beat like in such a big way. The big beat thing happened. It was just like amazing. Every day I was going to a record store, I was finding wicked records, wicked records, wicked records, and then it just stopped again. You know what I mean? Like the new school breaks kind of popped up from England, but it was the thing is about breaks, dude. It was like 90% it was dudes who liked that music. It was a male oriented music, in my opinion. I'm sure somebody could have an argument against me and say I'm wrong, but the girls like the house, man. They like the 4/4. The dudes, they like the breaks. They like the hip hop samples. They recognize the bass lines. They were like the people who studied the music. You know what I mean? They knew the music. They're like, oh, that's Apache break. That's Rakim's voice. That's Public Enemy sample. And the guys kind of liked it because it was kind of like hip hop, but it was faster and they could dance to it in clubs. The girls, they were not saying all the girls, like pardon me, but for girls in all the clubs I played at, girls were very slow on the breakbeat thing. It was mainly the dudes. It was dude music, you know?
Were you able to take this music, uh, not only to stand apart, but when you were doing that, to be different, to be, I guess, the outlier in the crowd in Vancouver that was playing this genre that other people were not playing?
Yeah.
Was it a challenge to sell it to club owners and promoters? Were they about it easily, or were you having to audition the music? Did you have to drop off tons of mixtapes? What was the process?
Well, well, you know, my process was I was a heavy collector in music, and I was very big fan of white labels, as all of us were, right? And there was like a lot of bootleg remixes. So you look for the bootlegs because that was your easy way making the dance floor go. So you know what I mean? Like you're like people are like, oh, you're playing breaks. People don't know. So you're playing breaks, And then you had a break with like an AC/DC sample that you found a white label of somewhere. It was pre-digital. It was pre people playing their own CDs. It was just like if you had it on vinyl, you found a vinyl, you were the man. And you hit that record so nobody else could play it. But like that record could make your whole night. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and I was the king of playing remixes and redubs and bootlegs. You know what I mean? And the bootleg thing made the breakbeat thing go well. It would help you move it along. But then in the mid 90s, late 90s, suddenly every single breakbeat record that came out was a bootleg record. Nobody was putting out original records anymore. Maybe I'd say 30%, and 70% was a remix of JD Plastic Dream, of Daft Punk. You know what I mean? And if people are playing it because it was a break, right? So it was just like the whole scene just kind of hurt itself because there was not enough music coming out, and what was coming out was a remix or a re-edit because everybody had a laptop, everybody could do those songs at home those days, like late 90s. So suddenly breakbeat became this it became like karaoke to me. It became like um like when you went to 80 like a bar in London, Ontario called Shooters, and every song was a hit. And that's what kind of became, unfortunately. Of course there was other people putting out the music and there was great songs coming out, but what was being played was hit after hit after hit. Everybody was safe, right? Nobody had to dig because this stuff on MP3 is widely available. So you play a remix of Daft Punk, a little bit of remix of Wham, and this, and suddenly you have like a karaoke night, and everything is kind of like kind of cheesy, if you will.
Is this what you think happened with the genre? Is that it became cheesy?
I think it got constipated by cheesiness. Yeah, I think so. There was. I'm sure there's people who will disagree with me, but I'm sure everybody who disagrees with me, and they were shopping in a record store from 98 to 2003 will agree with me that 70-80% of all the music released was a remix or re-edit or mashup of something else, you know. And I was kind of jealous of what I saw going on in house scene and techno scene because they were releasing original stuff. That's my take on it. I could be wrong, but
But you stayed with the genre.
I stayed with the genre. And then ghetto funk kicked in, right? Right? Which we know about ghetto funk. Great, like mid-tempo beats, and I always play mid-tempo beats. I loved my trip hop stuff. I played my down-tempo sets. I loved it, and then this mid-tempo stuff came out with big bass lines, and then again, everybody sampled old disco, old funk, rock and roll, this and this. And suddenly ghetto funk just became like a karaoke of, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of producers who did a lot of amazing original music. But what was in the forefront was people playing other people's shit, dude. Like I don't need to hear fucking Casey and the Sunshine Band with a big break and big badass bass line and Casey and Sunshine Band on top of it. You know what I mean? And it goes into Queen with a big bass line, big break, and you know, Freddie Mercury over top of it.
Were
And
these
that
were these bootlegs
it's
lures? Were they
the
lures?
bootlegs
I mean, I'm just saying. Let's say, for
lures.
example, there's a bunch of oil slick hills to encounter with a genre that be considered the underdog going into a venue where people may not be familiar with it. All of a sudden, they hear a broken beat. does a bit of a funky chicken when you're dancing.
Yeah, yeah, of
It's not
course.
the straight shuffle of house music. When this
Yes, yeah.
happens, you don't want to be the person that gets up there and clears the floor.
Dude, it's
But simultaneously want to take a chance. Would the bootleg behave as a lure so that perhaps they're there? I
yeah,
they
of course. I get
okay.
it. But that's the way we used bootlegs was a lure. That was your like if you wanted to build a house, you need a hammer, right? And if your dance floor is not working, you drop the bomb you got, you get them on dance floor, and then you carry the dance floor with whatever else you got. But it got to a point where every song was a lure. You know what I mean? So and
Hmm.
then it feels like you're like your high school reunion, dude. You know what I mean? You hear Casey and the Sunshine Band, some Queen, a little bit of Steve Miller, and just because it has a big break and big bass line, it don't make it like credible because it's just kind of easy way out, dude. Like if you go out and you rock a crowd, you play 10 songs and one lure. 10 songs, one lure. And what I thought became was like lure, lure, lure. Don't get me wrong, I was probably guilty of it as many times as well. But it just kind of chipped away at the whole breakbeat scene, I think, in my opinion.
There was a mecca that ended up coming about in England. Fabric, it seemed to have a prominent night that was dedicated to breaks.
Yeah,
Compilations that were coming forth from the nightclub, resident DJs that started having a lot of
yeah.
touring success. And then it seemed to stop. I talked a bit about this on the show before. I'm curious. I feel like it's a bit of a mystery. What happened with breaks?
I don't know, man. I played Fabric a couple times. One of the greatest
How was your
moments.
experience
Ah,
there?
amazing. Fuck, Fabric, dude. Fabric. Like they
What was
had
the music like when you were playing your selection that you curated
they
to
liked it. It was a breaks night, you know, and it was like like it's London, and they felt breaks, and in some way the breaks kind of came from London. You know what I mean? From the hardcore new school breaks, it's kind of like they own that music. You know what I
there
mean?
was
And
certainly a
playing
lot of
there,
labels. I mean, I brought up some before, but even like Distinctive was doing a bunch of stuff. Obviously,
yeah,
Skint. There's tons. There's tons that I'm not saying. What was Rennie
Elliot,
Pilgrim's label?
yeah.
It's beating my mind right now. But there
I,
was so
I, I,
much.
I don't know. It just kind of faded out in a certain way. And don't get me wrong, I still play breaks and I do play remixes. I play bootlegs like everybody else. So I just don't want to be raining on anybody's parade. But the and enough original stuff hasn't been coming out in a real long time, and I just kind of hope that everybody said it's the 20-year cycle or a 10-year cycle of music, and I kind of hope like now it's 2021, and I think it's around a 20-year cycle. I hope to God this music comes back because it's good music, you know, and like I look at the EDM stuff, and I think those people who like EDM won't like breaks, and I'm happy that they won't like it. Like it's about the people who kind of know it. You know, I mean, my opinion anyway.
Take us a bit back now. You're in Vancouver. Was there already a party scene that was happening in Whistler? Did you know about the party scene that was happening that was up there? Was there already a credible dance music, electronic music night that was happening that was up there?
Not really, man. But like when I lived in Whistler, dude, I was like, I showed up there, and I grew up in Kitchener, right? So and I worked for DMC Records. I don't know. I'm sure you know DMC Remix Records, DMC Contest, etc., etc. And I got a job with this company, Kitchener, who was the main distributor for DMC Records. He's like, go across Canada and try to sell DMC records to clubs. So I drove across Canada and I stopped in every city and tried to flog DMC records. Nobody was really biting because every club was a roadhouse and, you know, shots and wet t-shirt contests, etc., etc. I arrived in Whistler, and then there was a DJ, and he played. He was a great DJ. His name was Scotty. His nickname was Wheels, and he played great. You know, he played a little bit of Young MC, played some CNC Music Factory, a little bit of The Cure, The Smiths. You know, like you know those Ontario bars, roadhouse bars that play that kind of music, and it was perfect for the people who came to party in Whistler for a night, go skiing, party, etc. And I got a job there, and I kind of bent the rules a little bit into acid house. The Prodigy came out and stuff, and then the young snowboarders started liking me because I was kind of, you know, and I was repping like Public Enemy and you know, like Ice Cube and all that kind of stuff. And that the kind of we started this kind of cool little scene because there was a lot of young snowboarders. And then I left, I moved to Vancouver, and then the club owner asked me to start at night. So I chose Sunday night, which was the slowest night. And I said, I'm just gonna bring you DJs because the whole rave thing just hit me,
Hold
right?
on for a second. Like, so you went from Ontario to the mountain first, and then the mountain down to the city.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
when you left the mountain to go into the city, it was Tommy Africa's, whoever was running it at that time, that said, "Be here with us on Sunday nights."
Yeah. It's just like I left. I had a great time. And you know, dude, like I worked like 5 nights a week from 7 till 2, DJing, right? From 7 till 9, dude. I had to play old school rock and roll and wear a nice shirt in the DJ booth.
At Tommy Africa's.
I told me, and they had their own records. Yeah, that's how it used to
Wait,
be.
so I mean they
They were
had their
like
own
80.
records that were behind the booth that you had to pull from to play.
Yeah. And then I would bring some of my own in there, right? Just to change it up so it don't sound like the other DJ. And then I got in shit for like, dude, like it's Friday night. You have to wear a nice shirt. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like,
What do you
oh,
mean it's
dude, you gotta
Tommy
wear a nice shirt.
Africa's? What were
Yeah,
you?
you have to wear a nice shirt. And I'm like, I'm a DJ. And they're like, you have to wear a nice shirt. So, all right. So I wear a nice shirt.
So clearly, Tommy
And then,
Africa's has been through some changes. Is what you're. This is one of the key parts of the story right now. Is that
indeed.
Tommy's has
And
changed.
there was another DJ in Whistler called Vinyl Richie, right? Who's my best friend to this day. And they said, okay, you two guys, we have to be in this DJ booth, which was the size of a small penalty box, right? So you got like 6 hours for the job. And we were there together and we had to play top 40 for the skiers. And then like we had to go, okay, you play this, man. You play right on time, dude. And I go, okay, I'll mix it into CNC Music Factory. And we were like mixing together, like coming up. Like there was no scene. There was like nothing. We just loved our job. Like it was amazing. Getting paid and then skiing during the day, mountain biking during the day, and then at night we go play records. I made like killer money.
So so bring me back inside Tommy's because my first experience playing at Tommy's um, was with you on Sunday night, and
Yeah.
the only reason actually why it happened the first time was because Groove Robber got sick.
Yeah.
He'd
Yeah.
partied too much the night before at the show, but I was still going, and that's where I met
Yeah.
Tobin as well.
You're from Toronto.
So
Enough said.
he drove me up the mountain. I got up there. At that point, there were no records in the booth when I went there the very first night. But I do remember the light bulb that was hanging above and if you played too loud, then
Remember?
the light bulb would start to glow.
Oh, you were in the old booth. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. This was, I mean, this has
Oh,
got to be
shit.
1998, I think, was the first time that I played there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was crazy. And the guy who owned it, his name was John Cipolla, which means onion in Italian.
Okay.
And he used to be up back, and he had this like ladder thing, like a lifeguard kind of sit behind the DJ booth and just give you shit every time the light bulb went on. Because every time the system started overloading, the light bulb would light up more and more, and then he would come and tell you to turn it down. Because we blow speakers. That's what we do as DJs, right?
Right. Well, this is pre before people would actually go and add a solid cut on the amplitude of whatever volume daters were being
Yeah.
fucked with. But um,
It changed
I'm
eventually.
think
It changed.
yeah, no, that night that I played, it did light up a few times and definitely did come into the booth to tell me to chill it out. The first time it happened, but no one had explained it to me. So he came in and gave me a tough time. And I looked at him like, no one said anything to me. And he goes, well, how about the mixer when you see it light up and the red is flying? Does that not tell you? And I was like, yeah, you know, but I'm trying to have a really good fucking
Yeah.
time, and I want to be as
Yeah.
loud as possible. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
obviously my attitude
I,
from
I had a
that.
I had a friend who played the same thing, and the light bulb above the DJ booth lit up, and he thought it was last call, and he called last call.
But and the irony about it is that you know he let me play I think 15 or 20 minutes past the closing time that first night.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
first night, I'll never forget it. That is definitely one of the best times I think I've had playing. It was just I everyone in there was just going. Like you had a club night that
Is it
was
the,
what's up? Did you break up? Did I lose you? I hope I didn't lose you. Oh, there you are.
you're,
Okay, I got you back.
no, no, no. I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here.
your camera angle keeps going crummy on me. I'm not quite sure why. Did you find that this was like I'm just trying like this was there was I feel that there was a certain magic that was up in Whistler, and which is interesting to me because it's a transient city. Yeah, there's some old schoolers that are there, but for the most part, it's people that are there for a short amount of time, and then
Yeah.
they're not. New people come in, so there's a lot of change
No,
that's happening all the time.
it was just amazing. It was like the Sunday night was like kind of the night where people just kind of the tourists left Sunday, and a lot of people, hotel people and bar people and restaurant people had the night off because it was slow. So it was kind of
Right.
like a locals night. So they would come in and just like bust off the scene, like and they liked it. It was like there was good nights, there was bad nights, of course, and I mean there was like from Paul Oakenfold to you, Johnny, Mark Farina, everybody's played there. You know what I mean? That was like it was like the staple of BC before touring through BC became prominent. I mean, all those places from Kamloops and Vernon and all those tour places we started after. This was the only place you played in Vancouver. Then you played in Whistler because it was a Sunday night gig. And if you played in Vancouver on Saturday, well, extra money and you get to snowboard. Like we had famous DJs who just will go, okay, we'll just buy a hotel and a ski pass. You down? Everybody was down. You know what I mean? Because there was like no cover at the club. So like everybody was like, I'll take the ski pass and a hotel, dude. Like, yeah, I'm going snowboarding tomorrow. The Brits and everybody loved it, which is, I would say yes. You know,
When this happened, and you felt that there was a strong moment with night. At what point did you feel that the other clubs, the other underground clubs in Whistler, started doing something as well that was electronic music. Did you was it all at once? Was it like did you feel like the increments of it happening?
I think people they were all trying, right? But like I think a lot of people were kind of loyal to me from the local DJs of British Columbia, and then all the shows that happened, I usually played at them. So in Vancouver, so I usually talk to the promoter, go, hey, let's bring him up. So I kind of had the in, and those guys kind of tried, and they did. They did good shows, but I guess we just did our own thing, and they did their own thing, and they like usually didn't try to go up against Sundays. And if they did, it must have been something big, and I understand. I would do the same thing, you know. But I wasn't really like the guy putting up the money, I just did the schedule for the club and got them thing. They gave me some money on the side, and I didn't even go up sometimes, I go, oh, you guys do it. Like, guys want this DJ, pay for him, it's your thing. Because if I don't live there, it's kind of tough to be, in contact with it.
Were you constantly pushing with mixtapes? I mean I know the answer obviously to this.
Yeah.
What I guess I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what actually. My better question is this is what was the process for your mixtape? Were
From
you
I collected addresses. That was my process. Anyway,
I mean musically for the content that was on the mix. Were you seeking out only the white labels to have on the mix? Were you just whatever your vibe was, so it didn't matter the era of the tracks?
I did. On my mixtapes, it was like always. I always try to have like the newest shit, of course, the bootlegs, which would like because I kind of looked at the tape as playing a club. You know what I mean? Like something to keep interested, and you want people to come back to those mixtapes. Like I'm sure you've heard mixtapes before, and they were like, like it was okay, right? But then you had mixtape, and you had like 5, 6 good wicked songs. You're like, oh, I'm gonna put that back in my tape deck back in the day, right? So I always like try to put the interesting shit on the mixtapes. And to get the mixtapes out, I collected addresses and I sent them to Florida, to Connecticut, to Mississippi, Tennessee, LA. I got calls back, and like every month I would I would mail out 300 tapes every month easily. I go to the post office, had them thing, they would stamp the envelopes, and they would go out. And like I said, like if 300 tapes cost me $600 and I get one $600 gig out of it, my money's well spent. And it happened. This was before email, internet, Skype, all that shit. You know what I mean? That was like snail mail, man.
The
And it worked.
packaging, do you miss the packaging of getting it
I
all
missed the
together?
pack. I missed the packaging. Going to my designer guy, go, okay, let's make a cool tape cover. You know what I mean? And then you pick out like when they dub the tapes, you're like, oh, I want the yellow one. The clear yellow one was amazing. You know what I mean? And
Did,
they
did
put
you
the
stop? Did
sticker
you
on it.
stop doing that when we went digital? I mean, like, do you have a Mixcloud page? Do you have a station where people can go and check out all of your
Not
mixes?
really. I got all my mixes. I just haven't
You
uploaded
haven't
them. I just kind
digitized
of,
them.
I should.
Here we are.
I got like
This
maybe
this is this
30
is this is the
digitized, but
soul
they're just
fuel,
somewhere in my
man.
hard
This is
drive.
the fuel right now.
Yeah, So it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's time and place. Everything's so different now, man. But I still have this kind of want or need, no need. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. I have this hope that this breakbeat thing is gonna flow back in, and I'm gonna be 100% down with doing it. You know, but there just needs to be music that comes out with some kind of type of continuity, something that will create that scene. So it's just like that breakbeat song is not just a one-off. You know what I mean?
You mean like a slew of hits that inspired the genre to go further than where it's at on a popularity
Not
level?
s- not slew of hits, slew of solid songs. I think, you know, like because house got it going. Like house, like I'm listening to house music, and this got so many dope songs coming out right
Are
now.
you are you
So
are you still are you working on music?
dabbling,
So I
but it's
sorry, bro. We're both excited.
yeah.
We're
Go ahead,
both
go ahead.
no, we're both excited to talk to each other. So I'm sitting here.
Yeah, yeah,
I remember a time where you did have music coming out on vinyl, and that I think even and going back again to Groove Robber, I think at one point you had a bunch of synths and samplers in his basement, and that you
yeah.
were
I had a
working out of
studio
his
there.
basement,
Yeah,
maybe. Is this right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I
yeah,
need I need the help
yeah,
because some of it's obviously very hazy for me. So, um,
yeah.
I'm just yeah. So then, what now?
Now,
I'm
dude,
just
like,
saying. Yeah, I'm
is
just
it?
saying because I'm listening to you talk and I'm like I feel I can hear the symphony in my head for you. So then you're inspiring me. Like sit down,
Yeah,
make
it's.
the next awesome break moment.
I
Like
think. I
be
think
that.
it's. I think what happened is like I got married, I had a child, and I moved to Europe, right? And I couldn't make money with DJing where I live, you know. So that's what happened. I came here. People are like, oh, yeah, you can play a gig. I'll give you a couple of beers and this, and I wasn't used to that. You know what I mean? So I found my own way to make money in a different way, and the
What
drive
did you start
was
doing?
we opened up a restaurant,
What were you serving?
poutine. For real.
I believe no. I mean I know
It
the answers
is.
to some of these questions. I gotta
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know
You know.
I
So
I, I know I want to try. I want to try.
yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. Better
It's
than
not
in
the first time
Canada.
I've gotten on an airplane to go eat some food.
Yeah. So yeah, so
Yeah.
that's kind of
I need stuff to open back up so I can try the
so
Czech poutine.
and now it's just kind of like right now in these days with the COVID and stuff, it's just kind of like yeah, it's going, it's good, like we're surviving, whatever. But it kind of still in the back of your head, you still have the thing of making music and get back into it, kind of thing. You know, I kind of dabble, do this and this, but it's so hard to work on music when before I worked on music and I had a platform. You know what I mean? I made a track and the next day I was playing it. Now you make a song and you're like, ah, it's in the box. Who's gonna hear it? Somebody on SoundCloud? You know what I mean? Like it's just like the motivation is kind of minimal
You could
compared to
stream it.
yeah. I don't even know anything about that, dude. Like I'm just so
You're
I make
you're here
poutine.
with you're here with us now, man. You're in the hearts, minds, and ears of lots of folks right now.
Hold on, give me a second.
Okay. No, we're not live. Anytime. Anytime now.
Dude, I just remember last time I saw you at the
When
Vancouver
was that?
airport.
Were we on a plane or were we passing each other in the
You
airport?
I was in a waiting room. I was flying back to Europe and you just got from Calgary or something and you're on the way to Toronto. And like
Okay.
you met me to get you're like, Chuck, what's up? And we just had a quick chat. I was boarding. I was like later. And that was it.
Wow.
Do you don't remember that?
I do remember at the airport. I don't remember what the year is. So,
Like 3 years ago. 4 years no, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maximum.
okay. You know, it's the I was on a crazy circuit for many years that it was like, you know,
Yeah.
3 or 4 nights a week where I was just on, and so a lot of it got blended. Hey, I want to say one of my favorite moments of doing the show is that I've got the opportunity to catch back up um, with friends and colleagues, and then they get to tell me what happened, and I you know sometimes I go along with it, and I'm like, uh-huh, and other times I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and then sometimes I'm like,
Dude, and
uh,
I, I have another distinct memory of you.
uh-oh. Is it
Like
PG? Is it?
the most
I'm just kidding.
no, yeah, it's totally PG. It's
Okay.
totally PG. Dude, New Year's 2000 in Toronto. And we went to a rave. I don't even know what it was. And you were wearing a suit.
Yes, I remember that.
Remember?
I do.
What was it? That was like Better Days.
It
Everybody
was, it
got
was,
together or
it was,
something.
yeah, everyone got together for a New Year's Eve. I think I can't, it wasn't called Connected. This was,
No, it
it
was
was
the biggest money
Y2K.
loser.
Yeah, yeah,
Y2K.
I don't know. I was only so much behind the scenes, but I do know at that time, I think it was either onegroove.com was doing a hosting or it was
Yeah. It was
100.7 FM. It was one or the
Wayne
other.
Steve, Wayne
And they
Steve
asked
Robbie
me to be on the
together.
mic and intro the DJs because they had all the DJs at that point playing live. You know, and it's
And
really
I was playing a turbo, I think. I was playing a turbo and I
that
came there
night, like
after.
afterwards, or it was like an after party. And I
No,
was
it was
still in
like
the suit, you're saying, when I went to Turbo?
you're in a suit and you're like, Check, what's up? I go, hey, what's up? You're like, yeah, I'm in a rave in a suit.
So here we are, like I was just saying. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Rave days,
if you
bro.
say so, mate.
Maybe it was a snug suit, dude.
No, gosh. Um, that's totally a different topic. I just found one of the guys from Snug is still making clothes under a different name, and it's escaping.
Really?
Yes, I followed it on.
I did like photo shoots for them and shit.
Yeah, well, you were also like you were getting
I
you'd
was
come to
a
Toronto,
I
you
was a
get your
rave
hair done
I
by
was a rave model, dude.
Transis.
Dude, yes, I was there.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, dude, yeah.
What what
Shit, man.
what was it? Did you find did you feel the energy? Because this was pre-internet. Like, how was it that, like, at the start of message boards, were you on message boards contributing? Were you
No,
were you checking
no,
out reviews of stuff after you performed? Were you seeing what a lot of the dance
no.
floor was saying about?
I I I always omitted that. I was like, I wasn't interested. You know what I mean? I was interested what people told me, but what people wrote, I just didn't care. You know, like I tried to make sure of it because it's just some of that shit just hurt your feelings, dude. Like, you know, you had the off night and they say something bad and like it made me feel bad, so I just never read it. You know, I mean, I'm sure I had many bad nights and many good nights, and the reviews were mixed.
Do you feel that
So
there was a moment in Toronto that you had? If was there one party or two parties that you could recall that you were like in Toronto?
you know what? The thing about Toronto was because I grew up in Kitchener and Waterloo, right? So I was down with the Italians, the Portuguese, the Jamaicans in Kitchener, right? And then I ended up moving out to the West Coast. So when Tr- Ontario called me to come back and to play some raves, I came to Toronto and I felt like home. You know, all that busting balls. Hey guy, what's up, guy? You know what I mean? Like that kind of the rhetoric that people had between them and that like aggressiveness. Because Vancouver was very like, oh fuck it tomorrow. Vancouver was chilled out and mellow. And Toronto was very aggressive. Hey, you owe me money. Let's go. We have a meeting. Let's do this. Toronto was like so my pace that every time I came to Toronto, I felt like home. Like a lot of people thought I lived in Toronto because I was there so much, you know? But I like Toronto people. I like the multiculturalism, and Vancouver was like so mellow and chilled and laid back.
Do you recall doing a show here in the city where you were in kind of like a boxing ring with Donald Glock?
Yeah, and yeah, that was good. We
Was
battled. We battled. That was
did
Joe's party.
yes. Did you guys have any form of rehearsal prior to that? Did you guys just step up and just
None.
jam? It was
None.
full
Let's
on
go.
jam.
I knew what kind of shit he played. He knew what kind of shit I play. And we just like tried to blend it. And I was breaks. He was like little breaks and more like kind of 4/4, banging like techno-ish kind of heavy stuff. And then we just scratched a lot.
Did you
Kind of like,
did I've got two questions that I'm really curious about before we wrap up our time together, which has been extra lovely, especially on your
awesome.
birthday. I'm curious, do you have three tracks that stay with you on your stick, in your bag, in your box, something that you know no matter what, tried, tested, and true, never leave your side?
Shit. Yeah. I think one of the main ones is like Voodoo Ray by Guy called Gerald. Technically a remix. It's always, and I have Ken Lu, the beats that I mix them together. That's probably the biggest one. And I mean some of my own tracks, but yeah, it's kind of tough.
How
Yeah,
about
it's
this?
it's
How about I know it's my favorite thing to ask. I'm curious, what were your hacks that you went through, the physical hacks to deal with shitty DJ setups? Did you show up where a tone arm wasn't working right, or there was so much dust in the venue that it was nonstop collection that you could watch the dust bunny build on the cartridge and the vinyl as it connected? Did
yeah, it's like
did you carry around pennies in your pocket? What did you do? What were the Czech remedies to shitty scenarios?
dude, like the shitty scenarios, like I every time I went to a gig, I was like, this is gonna be shitty scenario. It's gonna be a bad mixer, this. You just kind of dealt with it. You know what I mean? Like it's not really pennies were always in my pocket because I'm not a rich man. And I wasn't a rich man. So the pennies were always there. But like, like always tilting the decks and licking the needles, which you're not supposed to do. I lick the needles, dude. Like, oh my God. Like, I think that's why I never got COVID because I licked so many needles. You know what I mean?
was
Right? So
was
many connectors.
did you feel it helped when you made this action and you were doing the licking? Did you feel like okay,
Yeah.
immediately I know
I,
this is going to work out in my favor right now?
yeah. I felt like, oh, I fixed it. But then right side didn't work. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then left monitor didn't work. And you're like, I don't know. So you just, you know what I mean? Like, and then how many times you show up there and there was like, no monitors and the monitors didn't work, so you just mixed off the echo. You figured it out because that's what you do. Like you have like 500 kids in front of you dancing, you got to make the best of it, and then instead of giving shit somebody and being a prima donna, you just go, okay, I gotta make this time go by, and then we'll discuss the problems, but right now there's no time to discuss problems, like you gotta be kind of courteous in a certain way because I think everybody at those events was doing their best, but everybody fucks up.
I maybe did.
Maybe,
Yeah, I'm just saying. Do you know what I'm talking about? You'd show up to the venues. Some of the venues would
yeah,
have their in-house guy, and it was more often than not, some
yeah,
it was a rocker who was
yeah, of
just
course, always,
just not about this music in any way, shape, or form, and had
yeah,
nothing but physical, like you literally see on the expression disdain. They're like, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't do this music,
he
so
he
like, what do you need?
he likes he likes Nordic metal.
Yes, yeah, for sure,
But what do you do?
I
You get on.
right.
You like in Toronto was famous for those Alan Heath mixers with like zero crossfaders. Every time I get to Toronto, there was like, oh, it's gonna be there, isn't it? Oh, and there it was, fucking Alan Heath, dude, with the biggest crossfader dip, so you couldn't scratch, dude. Like, it was like, good sounding mixer, shitty to work with, you know. But hey, we made the best of it, and I tell you, 99% of the people in the crowd didn't know the difference, you know.
Did you find that this expected idea of a setup would be great? Did this end when stuff went digital?
Yeah, but you know what, dude? Then I went digital after this, and it just became more difficult. It became difficult for me in the aspect of uh, you show up after a guy who plays turntables, or a guy who plays CDs, and I showed up with my Serato, and then I had to fucking plug shit in on the whim. And Serato at the beginning was kind of dodgy, dude, right? So you plug it in and you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'm ready. And then suddenly dead air because it didn't go over well. And then another aspect of the whole Serato digital aspect was like, I don't know how it was with you when you played records, but you definitely weren't, oh, that's the yellow one, second cut in, right? And then when you went digital, it was there was actually name of the person who made that fucking record. I never remembered those people, right? I knew it was the yellow one, second cut in. I didn't know Josh Wing did that song, and he remixed it with like Daft Punk.
So then,
You
how did
know,
you know
like,
what you were shopping for?
yeah, dude, like, listen, and you go, oh, that's a good one. It's second one in.
I wonder, like, this is a very whimsical style of goings with no identification. So you were never looking for label or artist, a specific remixer. You were
No,
just
not 100% of the records. I'd say 80% of the records I knew, but there was 20% which I knew was the second one in, and it's yellow. And suddenly I had to learn how to read. To look at my computer, I go, did I play that one? I don't know. What is it? Well, so
was this a
then I discovered the
disconnected moment for you when that happened?
very hard because then there was a comment section at the end of the Serato screen. And then I was like, funky, James Brown sample, big bass line, big drop, big build up. Okay, so I labeled that one song. And then the next song I go, James Brown label, James Brown sample, big drop, big bass line, funky breakdown, big build up. And I was like, holy fuck, all my records look the same, dude. Right? So it's like you really had to start remembering name of songs because I was purely by the labels when I DJ'd on vinyl.
Have you been going out since you made the move overseas?
Yeah, yeah, I've been playing records here and stuff too.
How's the vibe been for you? Do you find that there's a similar reaction on the dance floor to the music? Is it different?
You know what? Like I think for the music I play and I always played, it's almost like the people are exactly the same. Like when I come here in Czech Republic or somewhere in Europe, I play breaks. Same kind of people come out. And when I play breaks in Toronto, same kind of people come out. And I think if those people met, they were probably best friends. Like visually, and like see how they enjoy the music. It's kind of cool. It's like house people are kind of they look like as well. Like it's people what they like. I think.
Has you how how is the vibe right now by you locally with COVID? Would you say that are people?
It's horrible right now, dude. Like today we had 15,000 cases. Yesterday 14, day before 13. We have we're the worst in Europe and we are in the world. But nobody I know is sick. Everybody seems to be okay. My whole family here is fine. Everybody's fine. People work. My restaurant's open, like just serving through windows. And seems to be like okay. Like, it's like no different. But we'll see what happens the next few days because they want to do like a tight lockdown again, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just kind of it's weird. It's a weird time of our lives, dude. How are you guys doing over there?
Um, so for the most part, stuff is closed with the exception of school, except I think that's only to a specific age, and then after that, it's remote learning. I might be wrong with this stuff.
Yeah,
So like banks are open, grocery stores
yeah,
are
of
open.
course, the essentials.
Uh, and what? Yeah, I guess something that's labeled as essential. But this is the part that's confusing to me. Like, um, Costco, or I'm citing them. I'm a fan of Costco. I like grocery shopping there
Yeah,
sometimes, not all the time, because you never go in for just one thing. Um,
you always buy more,
right.
especially at
So
Costco.
why? What's that?
Especially at Costco.
Right. No, it's I don't know what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah,
So, but then why is the whole store open?
they tried that here.
I'm just
It's like I understand there's essentials.
did it not work? Yeah. So, well, yeah, but no, but it's some of the stuff is not essential. Like their gardening section is not essential, or their vacuum cleaner aisle.
You know what?
That's not
Like
essential.
gardening essential in that aspect where you keep the people calm and they have something to do. They can go to the garden, dude. Yeah, dude.
The
Dude,
Costco doing favors for us all.
no, it's so there's no civil unrest.
Well, no, I just think
No,
that if they somehow have figured out how to
keep people busy.
do stuff, I mean, couldn't just a store that's not Costco, but maybe is like Costco and is locally owned. I mean, couldn't they be
Well,
open and do the same
well,
thing?
that
I'm
that
just
was the big problem here, where they let the big businesses like Costco and Walmart, etc., be open, right? But the mom and pop shops are closed, so people start kind of
I think
studying.
it's just a very confusing time for everybody.
Dude,
You
I,
know,
do- I
we want to have the answers, all of them, and we're used to getting it all at once.
true, true.
We swipe, and all of a sudden it's answers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like, for the last, I don't know however long this has been going on now. We've all been swiping, and one day
Yeah.
the answer's here, the next day the answer's there. Some
And
days
the
there's no answer.
and
It's
the, and
like,
the phone gives you suggestions. Oh, you swiped here? You need that umbrella, motherfucker. Right? And that's the way it is. That's
maybe.
the way it is. It's
I know what we do need. We need more of you in our lives,
likewise. Hey,
making
listen.
us feel funky.
Once this shit kind of blows over, let's hope to God.
Mhm.
You're more than welcome to come to Prague and come hang out. I'll show you some crazy shit.
I would love that.
You're my
I would
favorite J,
absolutely
dude.
love that. Ah,
That's how my homies roll over here. So
yeah.
please come down and visit. Bring your fam, dude. It's beautiful over here. Beautiful when
I can
it's
I can
working.
only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
And then
only
when I
imagine.
come to Toronto, which I'm planning, because my dad's there, right? So like I haven't seen my dad for like year and a half because of this
Crazy.
bullshit. You know what I mean? I just want to come
Right.
down, go hang out kitchen, eat some sausage, man. Come to Toronto, eat some squid. I got my joints in Toronto that I want to fucking visit, and my homies. Maybe do a little rave reunion in the parking lot somewhere. I love it. I love it.
All right.
Definitely.
Well, listen. Don't hang up, so we can just cover a couple of things here as our show concludes. Woo! That is Czech.
Breakbeats.
I am Jello. This is Utility Room. You are absolutely awesome sauce. Thanks a lot for being with us tonight, all right?